Going to take how to recognize and draw a graph from a simple quadratic equation of y equal ax squared or y equals ax squared plus c, and we are going to have at the end a challenging question, which is y equals 2x squared minus 4x minus 1. Now let's recap what we took before. We took that quadratic equations at least has a variable which is squared. We also took simple quadratic equations like y equals x squared plus 1, x squared minus 1. In this video, we are going to take quadratic equations of the form y equals ax squared, like y equals 3x squared, y equals 2x squared, and so on, where a is a constant number. And also we are going to have y equal ax squared plus c, like this one and this one. But in the book they didn't ask you in the exercises to draw these y equals to ax squared plus c, but we are going to speak about them a little bit. We also took that the graph has a parabola shape, a U shape before, and also in this form it's gonna be parabola also, a U shaped. Draw y equals 2x squared. As usual, first you have to draw the table of values. You can take any values of x. I don't recommend to take too many points, especially when you have -3 and 3. The value of the number is going to be bigger. So to get x squared, you just multiply the value of x by itself, as if you are saying -3 times -3, which means negative times negative is going to give you a sign which is positive. So the answer is +9, not -9. -2 times -2 is 4. -1 times -1 is +1, and so on. And then if you are going to make a recap of this figure before, it used to give you this shape, y equals x squared. Now to find the value of y equals 2x squared, you just multiply the value of x squared by 2. If it's a 3x squared, you will multiply it by 3. If it's 4x squared, you multiply it by 4. And you will get these answers. Then you will graph it. You will plot the points -3, -3, 18, -2, 8, -1, 2. You will plot them on the graph and you will get this shape for y equals 2x squared. Now, if they ask you, what do you notice about these two graphs? If you look on the value of, if you look at the coefficient of x squared and the coefficient of 2x squared, which is 1 and 2, you will find that the smaller the coefficient of x squared, wider the curve. In other words, that the parabola described by y equals 2x squared is narrower than the parabola described by y equal x squared. So when the coefficient is increasing, it's becoming narrower. Now, if we combine the two drawings on the same grid, you are going to notice the y equals 2x squared and y equals x squared. Y equals 2x squared is narrower than y equals x squared because it has the highest coefficient. For more explanation, if you looked at this drawing, we have different parabolas. Each one has its own equation, quadratic equation. So these are the equations that represent each parabola. So which one is the widest parabola? If you look, the widest parabola has the green color, which is the smallest coefficient, 1/4. Which one is the narrowest parabola? You will look that it's the black color, which is y equals 4x squared. If you look at the coefficient, you will find that it is the highest coefficient among these equations. For that, we said if it has a higher coefficient, then it's wider. Now same thing if you have a decimal coefficient, which is y equals 2.5x squared. You will also draw the table of values. I took -2, -1, 0, 1, and 0, 1, and 2. And then you will find the value of x squared. And then you will multiply it by 2.5 to get the answers. 4 times 2.5 is 10, and so on. And I don't recommend to draw also x squared. You can directly find the answer without doing the column, which is x squared, and you can directly calculate 2.5 times into -2 squared to get 10. 2.5 times -1 squared is 2.5, and so on. And then you will plot these points on the graph to get this shape. Draw y equals to x squared plus 1. Some students will prefer to do the table of values like this, but I recommend to use it as order of operation, just to fill the value of x as -2. You'll put instead of x -2 like this, and then you will work for y. So you will have 2 times 4 plus 1 to get 9. So the new values will be -2, 9. These are the points that I have to plot them as x, y, -1, 3, 0, 1, and so on to get this graph. We notice in this graph that the parabola is not passing through 0, 0. It's passing through the point 0, 1. Now, if you want to graph this quadratic equation, first of all, it's not a simple quadratic equation. It's more complicated because you have 2x squared and then you have -4x. As usual, we used to find the table of values. Take any values of x. I chose -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. You can take -2, -1. It's up to you. You have to take the values of x and then you substitute it in this equation. So when x is equal to -1, you just substitute according to the order of operation. You will solve it to get 5. Then when x is 0, y is -1. When x is 1, y is equal to -3. When x is 2, y is -1. And when x is 3, y is 5. After you find these, you have to plot the point because you already got the coordinates -1 and 5. So you'll plot them and then you will join these points to find the parabola. Now this is your homework for today. Please, I prefer to solve these on the copybooks and not on the books. Thank you for listening.